Hello, good day, everybody, ladies and gentlemen. From the Beijing time, we would like to say good afternoon. From the Europe time, we would like to say good morning. For American time, we would like to say good evening. My name is Chen. I'm the panel operator and the moderator. And I'm hosting this event of the discussion on some of the hottest worldwide debate topics, the impact of rising of China after the COVID-19 pandemic. So the purpose of this dialogue is to encourage all of us to diagnose that what the world is going to be after COVID-19 and how is China's impact on this matter. We're living in a world with a lot of diseases, sickness, and some of the uncertainties. It seems like it will take months, maybe until next year, to so on, to be back to normal after we develop a vaccine. And sooner or later, we will all move from the pandemic to the post-COVID-19 world. So today, it is our first edition, and we would like to talk about travel under pandemic in China, to China, and such matters. And today, we're extremely privileged to speak with three finest deep thinkers who all have the solid China experience. And they're not only expertised about international affairs, political issues, and cultural exchanges programs. They also distinguish themselves as the main speakers, author, publisher, book translator, cultural promoter, and event organizer. Please join me to welcome Ada, Eva, and Olga.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
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 Let's
Hello.
start from Ada. Would you please introduce yourself to our audience a little bit?
Me, right? Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Eda, and I am from Turkey. And I am an editor and book translator from Chinese to Turkish. And I have been living in China for more than 5 years. It will be almost 6 years, actually. And all this time, I was in Beijing. And, you know, my favorite thing in this world, I think, studying new languages, especially Chinese. Chinese, I love it, even though it's really hard. And I think I spent almost half of my life studying Chinese, but it never ends. So I think I will never stop. And except that, of course, I like exploring different cultures. And China is the first place that I came after I leave in my country. So the life is good here because I love Chinese culture, Chinese food, you know, everything. And yeah, our life is here, you know, it's funny. Yeah, but when the pandemic comes here, it became a little bit problematic, but now I think it's better. that I can say. And during this time, from the very beginning of pandemic, I was here. I didn't leave this place, and we will be talking about these things, why it happened, and what we did here, these kind of things. So I'm very excited.
Lovely, lovely. Thank you so much, Ada. So let's go to Miss Eva from Grace. Okay, Eva, please introduce yourself to us.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Chen, for inviting us. I'm from Greece. I grew up there and then I lived for many years in Italy, where I studied cultural anthropology, Chinese culture, and Chinese medicine. With that occasion, I came in Beijing in 2008 to continue my studies in a master's degree in developing collaborations between China and Greece, but also East and West. So, as a cultural anthropologist, afterwards I was more than happy to stay in China and to work practically in improving the collaborations and the understanding between China and Europe, but all over the world. So I'm very happy to be here in order to inform people how is living in Beijing right now, because the last years I live here permanently. So it's very interesting, I think, to inform the people how is living here in this particular moment of time.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Eva. It was a pleasure to invite you here. So last but not least, let's go to Miss Olga from Belarus. Olga, please.
Hello, my name is Olga. I was born in very old city of Belarus, which is called Polotsk. And then I was studying in Minsk. I was studying philology, Belarusian language and literature. And then after this, I became a journalist. And since 1995, I am working in this profession. I am traveling a lot of times in different countries. Mostly of the time, it's European countries like Sweden, Poland, Ukraine, Italy, Germany, and so on. So, and finally, in 2010, I came to China, to Beijing. It was my first trip to Asia ever. And of course, it was my first trip to China. And since this time, I'm working permanently in China. I'm very interested about art, culture, different relationship between people, international relationship. And I'm translating also some books, but not unfortunately from Chinese, but from different and other languages. So I think that this is really good opportunity for people around the world to know how is life in China inside and in Beijing particularly. And especially thank you so much for such opportunity, of course. And I'm very happy to share my opinion with all of you and with all of my friends who are sitting here in different places of Beijing.
Lovely, lovely. Thank you so much, Olga. So indeed, our live stream session is called China Insiders Are on Live. So definitely today is our first episode, and we're extremely privileged to invite 3 insiders. They have the solid experience on China living, on China topics, and they all have their unique stabilities and abilities to develop and help us to explore a very interesting part of the Chinese culture in terms of the aspects, opinion, and perspective. So today our topic is about traveling under pandemic. As we all know, due to the current crisis of the COVID-19, it was really been a disaster for people around the world to travel inter-countries, even inside countries. So our first topic, it will be what it's like to travel during the pandemic. For example, taking a flight, crossing countries, security check, health control, immigration control, wearing a PPE, being quarantined, or taking a public transportation, etc. So I would like to first share my opinion. I was working overseas until the beginning of this year. So in March, I was stranded in Croatia, Dubrovnik, and there is only one way to get back to China, which is to take the cargo flight. So I took a cargo flight to come back to China, which is not easy process. There have been extremely very restricted difficulties in terms of getting the COVID tests and presenting a result. Also, I passed a few rounds of the health control and immigration control to get a special permit to board a cargo flight from Croatia to China. So this is my experience. It's been really hard, and I can say that the regulation out of China has been a little bit loose. For example, they have no contact tracing abilities in terms of mobile apps or certain things like that. But in China, you have to do everything. Your life is via app. What we talk about is like all of your behavior, the place you have ever been in the past days or weeks must be tracked and recorded as a proof for yourself. So for this kind of issues, I can feel like there's a very big gap between the Western and the Oriental countries. I won't say China, but let's say, for example, Japan, South Korea, Thailand. They have been taking a very, very restricted measures towards the spread of the virus. So this is my experience. It's been really a hard time to travel in this pandemic era, I would say. So at this time, I would like to also first to give a chance to three of our distinguished guests to share their opinion on what is the difficulties and what is the main fears among the expats of traveling to China or traveling in China. So let's start by giving a chance to Eva, please.
Well, as you said, traveling can be really tricky this period. You have to be ready to have to do some things that normally you wouldn't. So you have to be wary for some situations that can come up. For example, you have to be informed about quarantines. You have to be informed about tickets. Many changes in schedules. There are serious problems in traveling, but still, it is possible. So,
Very
for example,
yeah, go ahead, please.
I cannot hear you well. So, for example, in case you are like me here in Beijing, for many months it wasn't easy to travel out of Beijing in other places that could have cases. You have to be careful about the cases there or here. So, for example, when someone was traveling out of Beijing for another small town near even, and he had to be informed if he had to stay there for 14 days during the traveling, or he would have to go in quarantine afterwards. Sometimes it could happen before and after. So some people are afraid of this situation, basically. That's why we must be informed about cases and be always online with all these apps that we have in order to immediately understand if there is a problem.
Definitely, thank you for insights. So, Ada and Olga, anything particular you want to share with us about your experience, or what is your top fears about traveling at this moment? Let's start with Olga first.
For me, it's actually China during the pandemic. I mean, at the beginning of pandemic, and China now, it's a little bit different because seems like now China did control situation and pretty adopt to the situation. I mean, like it's a lot of apps, it's a lot of providing information inside of China. I mean, from different authorities that regulate you how you can travel. Besides, what I'm afraid of sometimes, actually I'm not afraid of to travel in China, but me personally, I'm not afraid like to get virus or something. No, it's not the question about this. For me, it's more complicated to travel during this time, especially with all of this regulation, because sometimes you cannot get hotel in some areas. I'm talking about to travel inside of China. Sometimes you cannot get a ticket. It's not understandable. Some companies are asking you about COVID test. Some companies are not asking you about COVID test. By train, for example, to travel, it's a little bit more easier than, but more longer sometimes than to travel by flight. And this question, they are a little bit not very convenient, and they are still making me a little bit worried to travel inside of China. Outside of China, outside of China, there is another one issue, because then you are risking your visa, then you are risking your money basically and time, because you have to know first you have to buy a ticket, and ticket now they are really expensive outside of China, to travel outside of China. And second one, you have to know how you will be returning to China, because regulation, they are changing basically like almost every week, or sometimes every day. Sometimes it's also changing, because sometimes occasionally, suddenly, like in Beijing a few weeks ago, they did find some cases, and then regulation did change for some places in Beijing and so on. So you have always to follow this information. And especially if this information is not that open for in another languages except Chinese, and if you don't know Chinese very well to read, so then it's also a little bit troubles. But actually, I have to admire that government, at least government, all of the regulation from government, because every region is having their own regulation and their own government, which can prescribe something for travelers. So from government, there is official information in all of the language. That is really good, because for foreigners in this case, there is a site, there is an app, mini app in different applications, in different programs. So you can read even in Russian, even in Spanish, in English, in Arabic languages, in all of these languages, like very common languages, you can read the information, the very official one.
Right. Thank you so much, Olga, for your insight. And so for Ada, I have a particular question for you.
Yeah.
Everybody was talking about this live via app. So I think everybody was talking about, you come to China, you have to get a code, which is the green code, the QR code, either on the WeChat or on Alipay, to make you possible to travel in inner city or intercity. So could you please introduce us your opinion and perspective about how it works to live in the life with the QR, or I'll say green code?
Okay, first of all, let's make a definition, because in the very beginning, it was just not just the green code. There are three colors. Like one is the yellow or orange, whatever you call, and the other is red code, and the safe one is the green code. The others, I mean, yellow and red means shows the place where you come is risky, is high risky or medium risky. But the green code is the lowest risk areas. If you come from those places, your code will be green. Like it's a kind of passport, you know, when you travel inside the city or outside the city, between cities. So it's very important to have this code these days, because wherever you go, for example, even the very simple thing, like you go to a shopping mall in China, in a city, so they ask for green code, you know, and you can reach it from your phone, from your WeChat and Alipay. You can search for like health kit. You can write it. There are English and Chinese version, and you can find the English one. Its name is health kit. You can search it, and then you then register there. You put your passport number and your photo, and then your phone number, then it gets the information like where you have been the last days, the last 2 weeks. So if you were not, if you haven't been in those risky places, then your code will be green. So you can go anywhere with this. So, but still, when you travel intercities, you have to how to say, you have to have this green code, and also you have to check for other regulations, because most of the time you can use this green code to travel inside China between cities, but sometimes they may ask for other extra things, so you have to be you have to search for it.
Totally. Thank you so much. So, regarding the green code, I mean, I think as Ada described, it's kind of like the domestic passport for people, not only Chinese people, but for foreigners who are about to come China or who are already living in China, to obtain this kind of the measure to make it possible to travel. So, Eva, I would like to ask you, because we're keeping receiving questions from the backstage about our viewers and subscribers. They're always asking, at this moment, can I travel from China, from a foreign country? Or if I travel to China, do I have to quarantine myself? And does the Chinese hotels have some restrictions at the moment for foreigners, stuff like this? So would you please introduce us a little bit about, is that possible, or the potential possibility among foreigners from different countries at this moment to travel to China?
Things are changing from week to week. We have changes. So right now, for example, we have the possibility to travel from other countries to China. You have to come in contact with your embassy in order to find out for sure that the country you come from is accepted by China. It happens only, of course, if you have the visa, either working permit or a residence permit or family permit, because this is no time for tourism, it's a matter of safety. So we need to accept people back in China, because many people during the start of the epidemics remained outside. Since it started during the Spring Festival, many people were on holidays and they remained outside. It has happened in many countries, this thing. So right now, China is accepting more than 30 countries to come back. The people who live in China, they can come back from where they went for holidays. But what they have to be certain is that they must come in contact with the Chinese embassy of their country, be informed about all the apps they must have on their phone the last 14 days in order to show that they are healthy. They should do also a test the last probably 72 hours. This they must be informed always by their own in their own country, in the embassy in their own country, because there are some differences from country to country. But the possibility, yes, there is. So they must be informed. They must find the ticket. That's not so easy economically, but they can come. Yes.
Well, it seems like a very tricky situation, basically not only for Chinese people, but for everybody
No, it
else.
is for everybody. It is for everybody.
Yeah. All right, I guess it's gonna be a little bit tricky at this moment for travel, and that's not a very good news for our subscribers who are recently planning to visit China. But if you do have the working purposes, as far as we heard of, you can apply for a Z visa. And also you have the personal matters, you can apply for a family reunion visa, or you can come with like a PU letter, which is existing 1 month ago. Now I heard from some authorities that there's no necessity of the need of the PU letter, but I think for some purposes, for example, if you want to do business with China, I think you need this kind of the invitation letter from your either employer or supplier or your partner in China. So it's not going to be a very easy process in terms of the documents.
They should be informed. They should be informed that when they arrive in China, of course, they must follow the rules like all of us. both Chinese people and foreigners, when they come back, they must have a period of quarantine, which is on their own expenses. They have to stay in a place connected to the airport they will arrive. So they have to know that it's going to be a 14 days quarantine period.
Right, and this is
So
going to
it's
be
very
compulsory.
essential. It is a problem for sure, but it is for safety reasons. Our health is the most important thing. And it's very important to know from before how it's going to be organized, the quarantine period.
Definitely,
And
definitely.
I
Thank you
think
this
so
can
much.
be helped also by a good traveling insurance.
Yes.
Shen, I think in this point we should remind our audience that when you come to China, you have to stay in quarantine for 2 weeks. But after it ends, now in China, when you travel between cities, you don't have to stay in quarantine in most of the cities. I think this is at least good for now.
Exactly. Wow, thank you so
Yes.
much for your insight. Olga, anything have to say?
Yes, I have to say that, especially about quarantine time, that people must be knowing that Eva said that we have to pay, like people who are coming, they have to pay their own expenses, and they have to calculate that this is at least around $1,000 money you have to pay, at least. Sometimes it's a little bit less, sometimes it's a little bit more, depends of condition what you are choosing. But the thing is that in airport, they are proposing to you some places, and there is the information which is in airport, and you can see how much cost this room, how much cost this room in different hotels. And I have to say that not all of the hotels, they are very cheap. And besides, people might be remember that they have to pay also food. It's not just only that they will be staying in hotel, but they have to eat something, drink something. So this things is very important to know. And also, of course, visa issue is also like very important, because in some embassies, very hard for now still to get a visa to come back to China. And there are a lot of foreigners who are waiting for this because of family reunion issue, because of working issue, and so on. And people are separated from their loved one for a long time.
Totally.
Yes, I know some families from Russia. I know some families even from Belarus. Wife is in Belarus. Husband came back to China, or opposite, and it's really hard time. I have to admire, really. So because of this, all of those regulation, it's pretty hard, in my opinion, to return back to China. But I also likely see that now things are getting a little bit better, because, for example, according to Belarus, we are having with China a special relationship in a term of visa. And actually, Belarusian people, the same like Chinese people, they don't need to have a visa to China for 1 month. But in the same time, people are thinking, okay, we probably can come back. So they are coming back, and the first thing, non-visa period is for 1 month. So, but basically half of this 1 month you have to spend in a quarantine. So, and then after for next 14 days, you have to renew visa to do something else. So it's quite hard. So you have really to calculate everything.
Exactly. I think in terms of the hotel expenses, I have my own experience I can share with not only three of you, but everybody who are joining our panel discussion. I paid exactly $945 for my quarantine fee, and this is without food and the drink. So I pay something like around 80 RMB for 3 meals per day, which is pretty good, because I got quarantined in Wenzhou. It's a city in Zhejiang province, like 2 hours driving from Shanghai. It's a small city, so the living cost was
A
not
very
that much.
beautiful one, by the way.
Exactly. And basically, the main cost, as Olga described, is the hotel fee, which is not very cheap, but at least there is very comfortable. It's very clean with a good hygiene system. It's a five-star hotel, so at least we don't have to worry about the safety and healthy issues inside hotels. Besides, during the quarantine time, it will take a couple of times during the day to check your temperatures and doing the COVID test or signing some documents. So for sure, physically, we're a little bit disturbed than normally staying in hotels, either on business trips or on private vacations. But I think everything worth it, because in terms of paying this money, you get a little privacy and you can enjoy at least some rest after this very energy consuming trip from a foreign country back to China. So physically you can get a little bit energy after that. So I think, yeah, in terms of paying this money, I personally, I'm fine. But I mean, considerably, some people would think this will be a big cost, but I think this is something we all have to sacrifice a little bit in terms of that. So by saying that, we have the next topic. What is the inner city travel be like in China? By definition of the inner city, it's like traveling from point A to point B inside Beijing, or let's say inside Shanghai. So we're talking about, if you have a purpose of traveling inner city, what is the situation be like? So I would like to give this chance to Eda to introduce us about your experience and your perspectives on how the inner city travel be like at the moment now in China.
Yeah, actually, I think maybe the easiest traveling way is inner city traveling, because you don't have to provide any more information. Like you just need to have this green code wherever you go, and show them your green code. Then you can enter wherever you want. But of course, if you want to go out of the city center, like you want to go to suburbs and you want to stay in a maybe hot spring hotel, maybe in such kind of places you want to spend the weekend. First of all, you have to contact with that hotel or what place you go. You have to contact with them and you have to ask to them if you are a foreigner, and I mean if they accept foreigners, because there are some places that they don't accept foreigners. For example, it happened to me and some of my friends. We were 3 foreigners and 1 Chinese. We wanted to go somewhere in the weekend. It's out of Beijing, but still in Beijing. And then we wanted to book a room there. We called there and they said, we are sorry because we cannot accept foreigners these days. I mean, every place has different regulations. So
Right.
it's better to check first and then move. Of course, you can also go to some shopping malls. Like during this time, we did this. I mean, we couldn't go out of Beijing for some time. Yes, now we can travel. But we spent a long time here without going out of Beijing, and so just the only places we could go were shopping malls. And in those places, I have to remind you, you have to wear your mask when you're inside some crowds.
All the time.
You have to, all the time you have to wear your mask. I know it's a little bit uncomfortable in summer especially, but you have to wear it. But when there is no people, sometimes I do it too. I don't wear it. I mean, when there is no danger, no people around you, maybe you can a little bit make some exception. But actually, I think the easiest way is traveling inside the city. But if you want to go out of Beijing, then it changes.
Wow, thank you so much for insight and perspective.
I would like also to add something about traveling to Beijing, because I was having different experience. We Beijinger, we're sitting here, and of course, we lost a lot of entertainment. Before it was very lovely nightlife, concerts, performances, galleries, and so on. Everything was open, everything was good. And we are missing this time very much. And just only one thing what we can do for now, because still clubs and different concert halls, they are not working. You cannot basically nowhere see live musician and so on. Artists, performances, big theater in China just only start to work few weeks ago, and even making just only local performances, and you have to prescribe for these performances much more earlier, and you have to buy a ticket online, and you have of course to demonstrate all of your code, the health code and so on. I haven't been still on these concerts, on such kind of concerts, but I think, and of course there is no foreign performances at all. But what we can do, we can go to the parks. Some public park, they're having no issue. You can go anytime. You can pay. You can pay few yuan, and then you can attend the nature and at least to see something different from the city. You know, it's very important for people's mental health also, like to see a nature, to change the environment and so on. But in some park, for example, me, I was traveling to Marco Polo Bridge, and there is a park actually, like to attend the Marco Polo Bridge, you have to pay some money. It's very beautiful and interesting place actually in Beijing, amazing one from historical and architectural point of view. Really, I really like it. I really like it. I came there from my house by bicycle. It was something around 6 kilometers away. So I came there, and then they have an application. So I was with my husband, and we have been there together, and we started to apply for this application. And in this application, they didn't accept our passport numbers, for example, because you have to left they sometimes those Chinese applications, they are too small for our kind of long names. For us, it's normal names, and like our names, they are not completed in those applications. So finally, we were having a lot of discussion. And we were ready to pay, and we were saying like, listen, we were coming from very long distance, and then now we appear here, and we want to go there because we spend a lot of time to come here. And finally they were very kind. This the administration of this park, they were really kind, and they let us just go, because they try. Yes, they try a lot of times, like we try 30 minutes around. We try to attend this application, to make a payment, to make a registration. It didn't work. So for me, is like from personal point of view, it was very kind from people, really, and I admire this very much. But from another point of view, I admire that it's a lot of disadvantage because those applications for foreigners, they are not including some information, or they are not making perfectly to fit, like we foreigners with our names, with our passport, because some passports are having not just only numbers, but we are having also letters, and they are when we are putting these letters, they are saying that it's mistake, but it's not mistake. So it's those things are happened also. And you as insider and as outsider, you also have to be prepared and to be a little bit passionate about the situation, even it's very hard.
Definitely, definitely.
I want to add something here. Yeah, Olga said it right. Now, we don't have clubs, bars, and those kind of places like you can have fun. Also, Beijing is a very international city. Before, we were having, like, every month we were having a singer or some concerts or some plays. I mean the international.
It's a cultural city.
Yeah, it's a cultural city. So international artists, singers, everybody was coming to Beijing. I mean, that time was really good. I mean, every month you could join to an event. After this pandemic, now we cannot see those kind of concerts, but people, they always find solutions when something bad happened. Like, for example, during this time, most of the museums, they go on digital platforms, so you could Of course, it's not the same thing, but at least you can see. And now many of the museums are open, and so you can go to see. And also the cinemas are open too, so you can, I mean, maybe if you don't understand Chinese and if you go to a movie which doesn't have any English subtitle, that would be a problem. But yeah, for now, to have fun, even though we have less options, but yeah, we have to keep our mind always happy. We have to control our anxiety. So we still have options.
Exactly. As one of the saying goes, it's like whenever there's a problem, the Chinese people always find a solution. Not only in terms of made in China manufacturing, serving as a world factory, but Chinese people and people in China in general always have a solution. I'm very happy to hear some of the positive discoveries from all of you. So, as we subscribed, traveling in China is gradually resuming. So beside inner city travel, we want to talk about another topic, which is the intercity travel, because cross-province tours are currently allowed in China. So for foreign nationals currently in China, they can travel in China as long as they have the required documents. For example, the ID card or the foreign expert card, or let's say passport. For sure, you have to wear a mask, bring some sanitizers, and you have to present a green health code, etc. So we want to focus another topic on what is like at this moment now in China to travel intercities. I know, Eva, you're the expert on this field, so I will leave the channel to you.
Well, as Eda said, if you are patient and flexible, you can find solutions. And then you have to be also very well informed. Right now in China, there are very, very few cases of COVID, and they are concentrated basically in Xinjiang and in Dalian. Very few. So right now, in case we want to go specifically to those areas, we will face problem because those regions they have to have extra measures in order to defeat coronavirus. But if we want to travel, for example, in all other regions that currently don't have any cases, or they have extremely few, like Hainan has only one, we can travel. Always, of course, with our health code, always with wearing masks and being careful in general in closed spaces and in where there is a lot of concentration of people. It is possible to travel anyway. Of course, there are some cases. For example, I can tell you about a businessman that came from abroad because he runs his businesses here in China. So first of all, as we said, when you arrive in China, you have to go in quarantine. So he did 14 days in quarantine, and then he had to go to the town where he has one of his companies, and there they asked him again to do another 14 days in quarantine, and then he was very unlikely to go. Yes, because it depends where you go. So you always have to be informed. He was informed. He knew about all of this, and he was ready. So he's very, very he's a pleasant man, very positive. We call him Mr. Quarantine. Right now, he was unlucky that one of his last companies was in Xinjiang, and when he arrived there, the cases started to appear. So currently, he's in lockdown in Urumqi because they have to be very careful there that they had the cases. And also in another town that he has another company, he will have to spend another 14 days. So in total, since January that this businessman has to travel around China, he has been in quarantine most of the time.
Right. I understand. Thank you so much, Eva, for your insight. So based on this question, we've been also constantly receiving questions in our backstage of this live session. So people are asking a lot at the moment is that safe to travel to China, or is that safe at the moment in China, at the moment now? So Olga, you have something to answer about this question. Is that safe in China in terms of the health situation?
I think that completely it's safe. I mean, virus is still here in any cases, but official local cases, they are less and less and almost there are no local cases in Beijing, for example. So in this case, we can breathe freely. I mean, say us that it's everything safe. And besides, it's obvious that everywhere people are doing a lot of things. They are wearing masks, they are disinfecting the environment, buildings, working places, everywhere, every step, really. We are giving our hands to prove our temperature, body temperature. So every steps you are registered, you are going in a bank, you are going in some small offices, you are going to see someone somewhere in their buildings and so on. You have to register. You are writing your name down, you are writing your phone number, you are writing your passport number. So basically these things is making you feel a little bit not comfortable, in my opinion, but it's still you understand that it's necessary, because then if it's any cases appear, then people will be easy to control where those people were going, you know. But in general, you are feeling safe. And me I'm not afraid to travel. I'm just a little bit worried about all of this regulation, and like to make everything better, not to waste time and not to waste money and not to waste my energy, you know, like if it's something not happened well. But in general, I would like to say that this is safe, and you can go to the restaurant, you can eat in the restaurant, people start to wash more often their hands and their faces, and wearing masks, and like to make all of those rituals come true, you know.
Great. So it seems like things are coming back. I mean, our so-called normalcy is step by step coming back to us. So this is the questions about it as safe to travel in China. And regarding to that, we also received some other questions in our backstage. They're talking about what do you guys, because you're the China insider, so what do you guys think, what is true or false in general from the Western mainstream media and also from the China-based mainstream media about the situation in China? Because in terms of the ideological differences and the different perspectives on democracies, on how to contain this virus, on developing a vaccine, the Oriental world and the Western world are holding a very different approaches and perspectives. So for sure, there are some very fierce conflicts between these two sides. So Eva, I would like to give you the microphone to let you discuss what do you think will be the truth or false from the Western mainstream media to talk about the Chinese situation.
This is a very interesting question. I think coronavirus made us understand that we must be very, very careful of information. We have to always to check from where it comes from and what are the source of information and if it is really scientific. In case of coronavirus, we had serious fake news, I would say, because we have false advices, we have non-scientific theories, and we have various false beliefs. For example, in case of false advices, we heard in Europe, especially in my country, people were thinking that by keeping your throat moist or by taking vitamin C and by avoid spicy food, you are not going to take the virus. You are going to prevent the illness, which is absolutely false. You cannot prevent something as a virus by these measures. So people had to understand the difference between preventing and reinforcing. It's good to keep healthy. It's good to have a strong body, a strong mind, You have to do exercise, but after that you must take specific measures. You have to wear the mask, you shouldn't go to crowded places, you should wash your hands and all the surfaces that could come in contact with the virus. You have to thoroughly cook food. So how we choose? We must always find the news from authorities like the World Health Organization, our government, our scientists in our countries. We cannot just search online and hear whatever and accept whatever we find there. It's very interesting, this issue that came up about false news with coronavirus, I think. So we have also many non-scientific theories. For example, since the beginning, people thought that maybe the virus was made in lab, and this such kind of news really spread widely. Instead, since very near the beginning, scientists came out and spoke and said that we have seen the whole structure of the virus, and we can see and can say seriously that it cannot be human-made. So it's very interesting to see that some false news can spread better than the scientific ones, and we have to consider a little bit why such kind of things can happen. Also, we had some very wrong false beliefs, like in the very beginning, people in other countries weren't careful because they kind of thought that only Chinese people get this virus, or as if people are different, as if they had never heard before about epidemics. This is really strange if you think about it, because humankind always faced epidemics since the extreme history, antiquity. So if we are a little bit informed, we can find about other pandemics we had even recently, and realize that in every pandemic we must follow some rules, and there are always scientific ones if we want to survive. So another false belief was that, and we can still hear that hurts people, is that only old people get the virus, which is a great mistake. Everybody can get the virus. But okay, we have, according to the facts, we can see that a higher percentage of older people could become ill. But the truth is that nowadays, that in some countries, young people are not careful at all. They become ill in great numbers, and so we have nowadays a percentage also of young people that become seriously ill. So we must be very careful about the sources of our information. It's really a matter of life and death.
Exactly. It's very chaotic situation in terms of the politicians are focusing on how to politicize this virus, in terms of you have some of the Western main leaders who don't believe in science, and also you have the overloaded media information which comes from nowhere and keep providing the fake information. So my next question is go to Ms. Ada. So from all of this, I'll say some false information and some true information. How could we analyze from the news we read every day, and how to avoid information overload? Ada, please.
Yeah, first of all, I want to start answering your questions by telling you guys all about my experience in the beginning of this pandemic, because it was so hard for me to stay comfortable, because I was in the beginning very anxious, because I was reading everything online. Like every minute I was in my phone checking, reading some stuff, and in the beginning there were a lot of fake information and a lot of conspiracy theories. So I was reading every minute. I'm not exaggerating. It's really every minute I was reading.
Right.
And one day evening, my temperature suddenly rise to 38. for 1 or 2 hours it was like that, but I was not infected. It was just because of my psychology, because I was too anxious that even my body temperature has changed. I talked to my doctor about this, and he said it's just because of you were too anxious, so you have to control your anxiety so that you can get over it, and it's just because of your psychology. You just so you have to do some stuff. So these kind of advices also are coming from a very expert, from my doctor. And first of all, why we have a lot of information overload, these days, and also a lot of false information spreading so fast. It's because, especially because of the quarantine, many countries still in quarantine, and people, they don't have nothing to do. They just go online, chat with other people, or reading news, or watching videos, everything. And at that time, I remember, even there was nothing in China about the virus, no information. I saw some Turkish people already decoded the virus, everything, and put videos on YouTube. I was so shocked. Nobody know anything, but some people, they are creating false information on purpose. So
Exactly.
my advice is like, first of all, don't read too much online. And if you wanna be updated all the time, what's going on around the world, just you can choose one or two media, so that you can follow the news, but don't read too much. This is the thing, so that you don't find false information, or you don't have this information overload. And also, don't spend too much time on social media, because social media, I think, is the easiest way for these information to be spread so
Exactly.
broad. So I know it's hard, because now in our times, social media is a big part of our lives. So it will be hard, but being anxious is more uncomfortable than not logging in your social media. So and also, when we hear something, when we read something, we have to check the source, where this information is coming. I suggest we should follow some authorities, some official sources, to get the true information. And also, I see some groups on social media platforms. People are talking to each other. They made some groups, like how we can travel to some place. Especially, I follow the one about China. So people are talking there what to do, or this information is true or not. They discuss with each other. And they also, in those times, there are some people from the authorities. I remember in the beginning of pandemic, there were some conspiracy theories about Turkey and China, and people were really so worried. So then we searched for that information, and we called embassy. And because it was about someone in the embassy, and then in the end, it came out like it's just false and it's a fake news. So the embassy told us not to be worried. These kind of things are happening, so the best thing is to have contact with the officials or official sources. This is the best way.
Definitely. Wow, it seems also has been very tricky in terms of reading news and getting notified from the social media. So thank you so much for your insights. So I think in the very last of our first edition of this program, let's switch to the question from our viewers. We've been receiving more than 55 likes and 23 questions in the backstage.
Wow.
So I would like to randomly pick up some questions and deliver to our distinguished China insider. The first question is from Mr. Ibrahim Pasa. He's from Oman. Wow, it's a very lovely country in the Middle East. He would like to ask our China insiders, are foreigners allowed to see the attractions in China's tourism places at this moment? Somebody can answer Mr. Ibrahim Pasa's question.
I can answer. I think
Go ahead.
that yes, I think that it's possible, but the thing is that you have to go and make a registration days before. But there are some places in mountains, if you are going a little bit far away, so you cannot still attend in some places. But mostly of the places, I think, slowly they are open for foreigners as well. But again, I'm telling that you have to make a registration much more before.
Right,
And
right. Thank you.
also you have to have green code. You have to stress
Yes,
this.
of course, of course, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah.
And your
Definitely,
mask.
that's a must. Yeah, that's a must. And thank you so much. I hope, Mr. Ibrahim, we answer your question. And we have a second question from Kadim Mohammed Asab from Kuwait. Wow, it's a lovely country. Also from Middle East. He asked a question. It's like, what do I do in China if there is a local outbreak during my China trip? So I think by what he means is like when he traveled to China, first he arrived in a city and then he moved to another city where he used to live for a long time. And then at this moment, there is a local outbreak of the coronavirus happen in the city he's coming to. So what she or he should do or prepare or get aware of? Wow, that's a very interesting question. Some of the insiders, please.
I think there are a lot of people who had the same situation when the beginning of the pandemic. I'm talking about China. I also saw some Turkish people. They are stuck here. They were just traveling, and then they are stuck. They were stuck here. In that case, I think the best thing is to connect to search for some people from the embassy. First, you have to contact with them, and they may help you in a way because they know better about the regulations and what you can do
Right.
or where you can stay. So you usually you have to find a place to stay. And also, by the way, there are some other Chinese people stuck in other countries. So during this time, it's better to have less contact with other people, like going out maybe less, and also taking into account the cautions like wearing a mask or using sanitizers, this kind of things, protective things, And actually, this changes to everywhere. But for China, there are also, I mean, they can find some cheap hotels and they can stay there.
Lovely, lovely. Thank you so much for the answers. And
And
I'll
I
continue
have
the
to add
question.
something.
Oh
I
yeah,
have to
Olga,
add
please.
something. Yes. I would like to say that for everyone who is suddenly unlikely stuck in China, you have to be a very, very patient and meditate, or I don't know, make something to calm you down, because then you have to really calm and to make decisions in a very right and a good mood, because instead panic is really destroying a lot of things.
Exactly. We need some very functional painkillers at this moment. Well, I'll continue the questions. Here's another question from Italy. Wow, from Catania, Sicilia Island.
Oh,
Her
ciao.
name is Julia de Pascalis. So Julia's question is, I have the current Chinese visa. So I want to ask, how do I extend the validity of my Chinese visa, and how is this process works at this moment? Thank you so much. Anybody volunteer to answer Julia's question?
Ciao Giulia, come va? Spero tutto bene. So about the visa, I will keep on in English. You really have to come in contact with the Chinese embassy, and they are going to tell you everything about how much time your visa will continue. In case you are in China and your visa stops, actually they are going to give you two more months. So there is no anxiety on this from this point of view. It's not a problem in case you are in China and your visa expires. So don't be stressed about this. In case you are in Italy right now, you just have to come in contact with the embassy, because they are going to tell you all the information regarding also which region you want to go. Are you coming in Beijing, etc.
Thank you so much. It seems like there is a certain way to smooth the process and step by step solve the problem. So Julia, we hope to answer your anxieties in the efficient way. Thank you so much. And also we have another question from Mr. Dao, Mr. Dao Scenery. He's from Portland, America. He's asking, what is the China's current entry policy and measures? Because I've been following on the mainstream media and some of the regulations from certain social media channels. It has been changing up to hours even. So I would like to know at this moment, what is the current China's entry policy for foreigners and how the measures will work? Somebody can answer Mr. Dao's question about this. It's also a very tricky question.
Yes, it is.
Oh,
I
yeah.
can answer a little bit. I can start at least the answer because I just did read the information about the China opening international flights more often and more. They allowed Chinese and international companies making international flights. And on the August, more and more countries they are allowed to enter China. And on 28th of August is in the list also my country. So people from my country also can already more easy to travel inside of China. And 15 European countries, they are also allowed to travel already to inside of China. I am not sure about the opening border between China and US, but I know that there are still Chinese flights which are flying. But my advice, you have to follow a little bit more carefully the information, because I think the situation is changing. But I have to say that really at the end of August, a lot of companies, most of the companies, international companies, they are allowed to make a Chinese international trip once in a week. So basically once in a week in some destination.
Right. Okay, thank you so much, Olga. Anybody else, two of you, Eva, want to add up to this point?
Eva or Eda? I couldn't hear, sorry.
Anybody?
Okay. First of all, okay, I can say something. First of all, I mean, now you cannot get any touristic visa, but some businessmen, they can come here. And also if you're a student, I think you cannot get visa, but if you're a businessman, it's easier. And you can, 1 month or 2 months ago, China announced that like the borders will be open step by step. Like, for example, a few days ago, there was the first step. Some European countries, it's open now. I think there are also Italy in the list. And so those people, they can apply for visas, and they have to go to the Chinese embassies in their countries. And they have to provide for now, the COVID test. You have to have this COVID test made by the last 72 hours. And also when you enter to China, you will have, I think, another COVID test. And also you have to fill in some papers when you come here. And even though you don't, some people, their visa is suspended, but recently I learned it from a Turkish guy that he applied for 3 months visa in Turkey, and then he came to China. And before that, he had a 1 year of residence permit in China, but it was suspended. But when he came back, they put it into effect again. So I think, and you can, once you enter China, you can extend it. It's easier. And also, yeah, what else? Yeah, or maybe you may have some family here. But also it's, I mean, one of your family members can be here, but it can change also to country, so you can check. the webpage of China Foreign Ministry, you can find at least true information for now. But I have to say it again, yeah, it's changing all the time. So every week we have new information.
Right. Thank you so much. I hope we answered clearly about the question from Mr. Dao. And I think in the very end of this discussion, I would like to share with everybody about certain type of insights we generalized from our China insiders. So hold on a second. Can everybody see my shared screen?
Yes.
I can see.
Yeah, so this is something we're providing to our dear audience. Okay, so this is the current China entry policy and measures. So I would like to just read it through for everybody who I think it will be a great beneficiary help for all of our viewers, because this is at most updated resources and updated informations we gathered. So the China current entry policy, to fight the continuing spread of the COVID-19, China has decided to temporarily suspend the entry, I think starting from March, but from August the 28th, which is a 1 week in the future, the foreigners who hold the following visas, even valid ones, are not allowed, but now are allowed to enter China. These documents are the Chinese visa, the residence permit, the APEC business travel card, and the port visa. And also, this ban, before it applies with the following visa-free policies. Now it's not applied anymore, which is the 24, 72, 144-hour visa-free transit policy. This policy is not existing at this moment during the pandemic. And also the Hainan 30-day visa-free policy is not existing anymore. Also, 15 days visa-free policy for foreign cruise group tours through Shanghai port. Guangdong 144-hour visa-free policies for foreign groups tours from Hong Kong or Macau SAR. Guangxi 15 days visa-free policy for foreign tour groups from Asian countries. So, however, who hold the following visas at this moment can enter China. First is the diplomatic visa. Second is the service visa. Third is the courtesy visa. Fourth is the C visa. And number 5 is the new visa successfully applied from the Chinese embassy or consulate overseas after 28th of March this year. So make sure this is the updated date. So regarding how to get a COVID test overseas that meets China's requirement, we've also gathered some of the very solid and updated information for all of you, which is from July the 20th. China's Civil Aviation Administration, which is so-called CCAA, announced that all persons, including the Chinese nationals, must have the proof of a negative test of the result of the COVID-19 issued no more than 5 days before the departure. And this proof must be a nucleic acid test performed by a provider that is recognized by the local Chinese embassy or consulate. The Chinese embassy in each country will announce specific implementation after evaluating the nucleic acid testing abilities for their host country. After you get the negative result, you should then apply for a statement of the health condition from your Chinese embassy based on your nucleic acid test result. So you need to show this statement when you board the plane. Currently, as of August the 6th, this is the updated date, August the 6th, the Chinese embassies in the UK, USA, Canada, and Australia haven't announced assigned nucleic acid test hospitals or organizations. So we will update you as soon as we get the information or it has been released. So we recommend everybody strongly to pay attention to the latest news posted on the website of your country's China embassy to make a telephone inquiry or write them an email. In terms of the entry procedures, when you pass through the customs, you will go through the health quarantine section and will need to fill out a health and quarantine declaration form to have your temperature checked. After that, you will be sent to a hotel for a 14-day mandatory quarantine or self-isolate at home. It varies from person to person. The type of the quarantine requires will depend on your destination's regulations. During the quarantine, you will not be allowed to go outside and will go through the temperature monitoring and some of the medical tests. We suggest you to prepare your luggage and pack well for the 14 days quarantine period. This is very important. Also, I added some snapshots from the very recent release of the information from the Chinese authorities, which is the visa facilitation for some foreign nationals with valid Chinese residence permit. In the view of the rapid spread of the COVID-19 across the world, China has decided to temporarily suspend the entry from March the 28th. As the prevention of the control of the COVID-19 became regular, in order to facilitate the changes, China has now declared that and decided that foreign nationals from the countries listed below who hold the valid residence permit, including work permit, permit from a family reunion, and personal matters, may apply for visas for free at any Chinese embassy or consulate in these countries. After entering China, they're kindly requested to comply with the epidemic prevention, which we call the 14 days quarantine. So here are the available countries listed: Albania, Ireland, Estonia, Austria, Bulgaria, North Macedonia, Belgium, Iceland, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Poland, Denmark, Germany, France, Finland, the Netherlands, Montenegro, Czech Republic, Croatia, Latvia, Lithuania, Luxembourg, Romania, Malta, Norway, Portugal, Sweden, Switzerland, Serbia, Cyprus, Slovakia, Slovenia, Spain, Greece, Hungary, Italy, and United Kingdom. So if you're listed in the above countries, you might now have the ability to apply. If you're not listed, you might have to wait or consult with your local Chinese embassies. After that, the paperwork you need to present and prepare. At this moment, we do not require a mandatory PU letter. So what we actually need as mandatory document will be the passport information page, valid residence permit, which is the visa page. And third, if you have the valid working residence permit, then a letter from your employer to explain why you need to go to China now is necessary. If you have the valid family visa, then a relationship certificate, for example, marriage and birth certificate, is very necessary. So the procedures will be like this. If you're applicable, they will issue you a brand new visa, which is the Z working visa, or Q1 family reunion visa, or S1 personal matters visa, based on your current valid residence permit. To explain why you need to go to China. So, okay, I think it's here. And they will not cancel your current valid resident permit. So as soon as you enter China with the brand new visa, later you can still use back your valid RP. So visa fee at this moment, this is the offer from the Chinese government, is for free for all the foreign nationalities. About where you can travel, at this moment, many cities are open and can be visited by the travelers, not only the Chinese, but the international tourists. But some of the destinations and attractions are listed below, will have the latest update, and they will vary from city to city. We listed a document like this. So I don't want to break down into details. So if any followers of our page or subscribers want to ask for the details, feel free to leave a comment and leave your email address. We will send this document to you by personal. At this moment, what you need to prepare is 3 things mandatory. First, the greenhouse code for your location and destination. So both cities, you have to have a greenhouse code. Second, of course, the mask and some of the useful personal sanitation methods. Third of all is the passport or the visa on that. So we named some provinces as listed. So for actually these destinations, some of them, actually all of them need greenhouse code. All of them needs the greenhouse code, but not all of them need the COVID test result. For example, Xi'an, you can see Huangshan here, or Zhangjiajie in Hunan province, they don't need the COVID test result. But some cities, like Zhangjiajie, you have to present the record of your travel itinerary, which you can find, we will explain later in detail, in your WeChat QR code or in the Alipay application. So as you can see, most of the provinces and cities in China do not require a 14-day quarantine because you've already done a quarantine when you enter China. So when you travel city to city, you don't need a 14-day quarantine. So at this moment, there are only 2 main places in China who are considered as the medium or the high risk area, which is Xinjiang, Urumqi City, and Dalian City in Liaoning province. So this, if you're located in this area, be aware not to travel recently. If you're not, you're considered to located in the low risk area. So this is the basic information. And in the very end, we would like to offer our tips for your 2020 trip in China. Here it goes. First, some indoor attractions still remain closed, which means if you travel to some, let's say, concert halls or bars, or even some of the tourist sceneries, some of the areas still remain closed. Second, some hotels have not yet opened or are not allowed to receive foreigners. It depends on hotels. So when you make a plan for your future travel in China, please do double check with the hotels in the city you're going to. This is very important. Third, many attractions have the requirement to make an appointment before your visits to purchase tickets in advance. And these measures, they strongly recommend you to do it online. Number 4, most attractions also have the daily limited on the number of the people permitted to enter. So for few people enabled to be a better experience is better. So if you're coming by a big group, it might be difficult to travel at this moment. As followed, it is required that everyone wear a mask during their visits. That's compulsory, not only in China, but basically everywhere around the world. Some routines at the outdoor attractions are only partially open. You may be required to scan a QR code when going in and out of the public place, such as supermarket or some of the attractions. So be prepared to download the QR code either on your WeChat application or on the Alipay. And make sure you download the QR code according to the cities you're going to, not only the first city or the main city your residencies are at. Hard shell suitcases or waterproof bags are recommended as your check-in luggage might be sprayed with the disinfectant in transit. So prepare your luggage very well. Always pay attention to the epidemic situation of your location and destination, which means we already speak with our China insiders. Get the useful and solid information from the authorized website or administration's website. Do not follow too much on the fake news on the social media. And then choose services that can be changed or canceled at any time. If you book a tour, it's better you consult with the local travel consultant, or you ask some of the travel insiders, such as us. You can deliver any comments in our live chat studio. We're more than happy to answer your questions, but it's better to ask rather than making a rough decision without thinking twice. Last but not least, be prepared to make changes to your itineraries and travel plans all the time. So this is our this is our views and our insight to share with all of you. So I would like to very thank all of you to participate. Wow, we've been reaching at this moment 132 viewers, and we've been receiving more than 55 questions so far. I'm so sorry we cannot answer all of your questions live one by one, but we will definitely do a gathering session. We'll gather all of your questions and we'll answer you one by one in the private email or message you leave on Facebook inbox, or you leave your email address. And of course, our China insiders are more than welcome to deliver your thought and your perspective on these matters. So this is the very end of our first episode, Travel Under Pandemic, of the program China Insiders Are Now on Live. So I would like to thank three of you, our dear China Insiders, to share your thoughts. Would you like to say something to say goodbye to our audience? Eva, please.
Goodbye to all, and stay positive and flexible. We can do it.
Thank you so much. We can do it. Yeah. Ada, please.
I know for now not everything is over. We have to be patient for a longer time, but as Eva said, let's stay positive.
Lovely. Thank you for these insight remarks. Olga.
Yes, first of all, I would like to wish to everyone to be healthy. Take care of yourself, take care of your mental health, to be optimistic. And I hope that everything will be getting better and will be getting to a better normal than during all of these 8 months. I hope that everything will be getting back to normal. So I really hope on this.
Thank you so much, Olga. So I would like to conclude the end of our first episode of the China Insiders Are on live streaming project. But it's not the end of our story, because we will be seeing each other and with all of our viewers and subscribers every Sunday afternoon. So make sure you tune in next Sunday at 2 p.m. GMT +8, which is the Beijing time. We would like to see all of you again, and we'll be definitely talking about some other interesting topics regarding situations in China after the COVID-19 pandemic. So stay tuned, and we'll be seeing all of you next week at the same time again. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.